Welcome to the Big Business on Campus College Sports Podcast, John Wall Street style. We've got Corey Leff here, and we got an amazing guest today, Jim Smith from the University of Maryland. So thank you, Jim, for joining us. This is a podcast that we're been hosting for a number of months, and excited to have you on as one of our esteemed guests. This is powered by Playfly Sports and sponsored by Shorts Travel. So thanks for joining us here, Jim, today. This is exciting to have you.
Oh, great to be with you guys. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah,
our first Big Ten guest, Mike.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I'm even more excited because I grew up in Maryland. I'm actually in Maryland today, actually visiting my parents. So this is a perfect day to have our podcast and talk about University of Maryland and you, Jim, because I grew up as a Terps fan as a kid, and I'm just excited to hear about your vision and excited to hear about what you're going to do to have University of Maryland, kick butt and win more championships. So let's dig in here. Corey, if you want to kick it off, and
absolutely,
and let's go.
So, Jim, Maryland made the move a few years ago to the Big Ten for financial stability. Here we are, a decade later. Put some context around how the program is doing. Where are you relative to your peers now?
So I think, Corey, it's a journey moving from one conference to another, and along the way, when Maryland joined the Big Ten, it was a transition into the Big Ten. So we didn't start as a full member, so we are very close to becoming a full member. I think that we have part of the reason why I took the job is that there's a tremendous amount of upside here at Maryland. The market is enormous. The programs have been successful. It's really now just about amplifying that success and monetizing that success. And I think that's the opportunity that exists here. So, we are making our way up the Big Ten. And as we become more of a full member, then we'll definitely be in a much better position in our standings in the Big Ten.
How much longer until you guys are a full member?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned the enormous market. Maryland, it has an enormous market, but it's sandwiched between two very pro sports heavy cities also, which is not the case in many of the Big Ten markets. So how does the University of Maryland stand out, and how do you go about monetizing that regional footprint when fans and sponsors have so many other choices in the market?
Yeah, so I come from a market that was very competitive and had an SEC school and an ACC school, right? So you learn really quickly how to be competitive in a market that has great sports programs. And I think I look at it as an advantage, not as a disadvantage. Two great football teams that are already in the market. So that means there are a lot of football fans to be able to pull from, right? We have a really solid men's and women's basketball program. Yes, there's men's and women's basketball program. We can feed off each other rather than look at it as a competitive situation. It's actually a complementary situation. And so how do we create an environment that makes all those fans want to enjoy both of those properties, professional and collegiate? And so having seen it being done in other markets, or being done in the Atlanta market, it can be done in another market. And the other thing is we have, and specifically as it relates to football, because it's this stat is better than for football. We have 14.3 million people within 100 miles of College Park, right? That's an enormous. They're not all Terps fans. Part of our job is to make them Terps fans, is to convert them into being Terps fans. And so I look at it as an enormous opportunity rather than the liability other people look at it as.
Shorts Sports Travel Logistics is the nation's fastest growing leader in college athletic travel, trusted by over 110 athletic departments. They streamline every aspect of team travel, charters, commercial air, buses, and hotel, delivering efficiency, compliance, and savings. Their promise, Team Travel Made Easy, is backed by innovative technology with unmatched reporting, analytics, and transparency. With Shorts Travel, athletic leaders gain measurable value, seamless coordination, athlete-ready journeys that protect performance, turning complex logistics into a true competitive advantage. That's awesome. That's awesome. So maybe pulling from some of that pro talk here, Jim, you're really unique in your background and your esteemed career because you actually have a significant amount of pro experience versus a number of the other athletic directors in the ecosystem at your level. Whether it was, bringing the soccer team to Atlanta United, whether it was, the Columbus Crew, whether it was the Atlanta Braves, whether it was Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, so many amazing pro experiences in your background. What do you bring because of all that background that's going to sort of change the game for University of Maryland? How do you take that and really innovate in college sports with all of those pro experiences?
Well, I think the experiences, I've been very fortunate, had a really good career, and I've worked for a number of visionaries, right? I've been really fortunate in my career, and I'll get to answer your question here in a second, Michael, but I've gotten the opportunity to work what I believe are four sports and entertainment visionaries throughout my career. I worked at the WWF when it was the WWF, and I worked for Vince. I worked for Andy Geiger, who was the athletic director here at Maryland when he was at Ohio State. And you look at what was done during Andy's time when I was there, that it really set the stage for what Ohio State has become, right? In the investment in facilities and the investment in the student athlete. He was a visionary. He saw where Ohio State needed to go. Then I worked for Lamar Hunt at the Columbus Crew. And he clearly is a visionary for he's still, I think, the only person to be in 3 Hall of Fames, soccer, tennis, and football. And you learned a lot from him and his wisdom and his belief in what soccer could be in this country. And then I went to Atlanta and worked for Arthur Blank, right? And who, co-founder of Home Depot, and what he did for the fan experience in Atlanta. And you take bits and pieces of all those things and bring them to the current situation. Man, oh, by the way, I also worked for a world championship baseball organization, the Atlanta Braves, right? They don't have a specific owner, but they have a really good culture of success. And you take a little bit of all these places and bring them here to Maryland and start to see where you can pull from those experiences and implement here at the University of Maryland. And that's why I was so excited to come here, because there's a lot of areas in which I can pull from that can make Maryland better than and really succeed in the future.
Jim, can you give us a practical example of something you've pulled from one of those previous stops?
So the whole fan experience. Well, I'll start at the fan experience, because the fan experience leads to revenue. If you start with the driveway to driveway fan experience, right, then you understand and you sit in the customer's seat from the time they're leaving their house to the time they go home, and how you make that as great of an experience as possible with a competitive product. By the way, you can't just have them come and not be competitive. You have to have a competitive product. That usually leads, when you focus on that and deliver on that, it usually leads to revenue growth, right? So that's where I start the journey here. Because we can go look at ticket prices and say, oh, we can raise ticket prices. It's easy. We can make more revenue. But the fact is, if the experience doesn't match what the revenue expectation is, you're going to have a disconnect. It may be a short-term blip. From a pure revenue standpoint, you bring the whole stratification and scaling that's in your daily discussion in pro sports that is not even a real discussion so far in college sports. How you scale a house, how you really prioritize, how many different premium opportunities you're going to have. What are the different in-game seating experiences? What are those hospitality experiences that you have in the other, from my past experiences, that we can bring to the collegiate world here at Maryland? So I think those are a couple of really tangible and practical examples.
Yeah, and I think there's actually a cool one that we combined did with Playfly Sports, who works with you at University of Maryland. Your team and Big Ten was the We Give Blood campaign was actually a really interesting with Abbott Labs, where we actually allowed fans to get engaged by giving blood. So it was almost like a blood drive campaign, a sponsorship, and a fan engagement campaign. Because in essence, we were having all the different schools compete. Which Big Ten school is going to give more blood? So I love those types of things too, because it combines revenue generation, it combines community support because it's a blood drive, and it combines fan engagement. So there's so many fun things and a lot of innovations that we've been able to do together.
Yeah,
Combine all of things.
yeah, and it's been great, and that's a great example of building community, right? And that's really what we're trying to do. Is we have a community. The nice part about the collegiate world is we have a built-in community of 400,000 alumni, right? 400,000 plus alumni here, living alumni here at the University of Maryland. So where in the sports, in the true professional sports world, you have to build that from scratch, right? You didn't grow. If you start a franchise from the very beginning, like we did with Atlanta United, you're literally building a franchise from scratch. In the collegiate world, it's not just do you have a solid foundation to build from, you're constantly fueling it with new graduates, right? And so how we harness and create an ongoing community. And the blood drive is a great example of how you can create an ongoing community to do great and using athletics to amplify it.
That's right. Love that. Jim, so you're talking about Maryland just had a record year through the Terrapin Club, over 33 million raised. How are you going about unlocking more of those donor dollars and cultivating that next generation of boosters?
Yeah, so I think we have a great fundraising team here led by Kirby Mills, and he's done an exceptional job. And part of my job is to help create a vision and a belief that Maryland athletics is going to continue to climb its way up the Big Ten, and that the investment that people make, I call it an investment, but that fundraising investment that people make to the department is going to be used incredibly well for our student athletes so we can be competitive and that we can graduate incredible student athletes to become alumni, and you create that flywheel of giving, right? Where someone comes, they donate, they see the result of their donation in the student athlete from an on-field and an off-field performance, and then that student athlete becomes part of that philanthropy going forward.
That's great. That's great. Let's talk a little bit about Under Armour. So as I mentioned, I'm a Baltimore kid, and so I'm always so proud of what Kevin built and that amazing company, and how it's a Maryland company, right? And so connected to the University of Maryland. Obviously, so many different elements to the relationship between Under Armour and University of Maryland. But how do you see it coming in now to sort of propel that relationship and think about ways to even expand to make, whether it's attracting amazing athletes to come to play for University of Maryland, or commercial opportunities, or otherwise? How do you look at that?
So Under Armour has been a great partner of ours, but I really believe that the partnership has to go both ways. I think the department needs to be contributing back to Under Armour and helping them grow their business in any way we can. Part of it's by keeping our homegrown talent here at the University of Maryland, that we recruit that homegrown talent here. So it enhances the brand, so we can sell more product, so we can just, overall grow together. And I think as we go and rise in the Big Ten, that only helps the Under Armour brand and helps, make that it makes the Maryland brand more attractive to buy more gear.
That's awesome.
Are there opportunities, Jim? Are there opportunities to expand that partnership beyond apparel? Are there commercial synergies beyond that?
Oh, I think so. And those are some of the things that we need to. When you say commercial opportunities, literally marketing opportunities where we have our student athletes, being representatives, because we can do that through NIL now. Where we can enhance the brand through our student athletes rather than just through our program. So I think that's definitely one way that we can continue to grow.
I love just walking into the facilities and seeing all of the gear and everything presented in a way that's sort of using the Under Armour brand as part of that connection. It's just an emotional experience, I feel, when you walk into the facilities and see all of that at University of Maryland. So I love that collaboration. It's very similar to what Oregon is doing with Nike, and so it's fun to now everybody's in the same league. So let's go get them.
Yeah, that's right. We're just really proud to be an Under Armour team, and it matters that our student athletes actually understand how important Under Armour is to the University of Maryland and to the state of Maryland.
So sponsorship categories are evolving. Obviously, footwear and apparel has been an established one. Where do you see industries as being untapped for Maryland and ripe for activation in the next couple of years?
That's really really good question. I think the medical side of the business right now, that still continues to be a huge growth category. So
You
I
mean
think that
performance? Are you talking about like athletic performance? Is that what you're referring to by medical?
both from a wearable standpoint, but also from the traditional hospital healthcare category, I think is still an enormous opportunity. We have a great partner in the system, but that's always going to be able to grow. It's going to be an expanding category for a long period of time.
Yeah, one of the things that we partner with you on is helping develop the category segmentation in a category like healthcare, right? The Playfly sports team that works with you thinks about it from a perspective of, can you separate rehabilitation centers from hospitals, from doctor office facilities? All of those are potentially different categories that could partner with the university in different ways, both sponsorship, community, fan engagement. So categorization and building out those structures can help drive not only revenue, but help get those advertisers and brands more access to your fans.
That's right, and that's exactly why we have a company like Playfly working with us, is to help identify how we can kind of, it's true. There's that expertise in how to really carve out a category, carve up the category to make sure that we're really maximizing the revenue out of it. Is really essential, and having the Playfly team here to be able to guide us in that direction is really important. And it's going to happen in other areas as well as we go. Everybody knows auto and beer and all those things are already done that. What's the next areas? Technologies. I talked about wearable, but just technology in general is a enormous opportunity. And we're sitting with a technology area just on the other side of campus that's got a whole bunch of startups that are, that we all hope will become our next big partner.
That's awesome. Man. There's some key alumni too who have launched some really big, amazing tech companies as well from University of Maryland. So that's exciting. I'll switch a little gears to. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I just wanted to ask one more question on the revenue growth side. Jim, your contract is a bit unique in the sense that it has a revenue growth bonus tied to it. If Maryland grows revenues by $50 million over the contract span, excluding Big Ten and CFP distributions, there's bonus tied to it. What are the levers besides corporate partnerships that you guys were just discussing that you're talking or you're planning to pull on to reach that goal?
Yeah, I think part of when I went through the interview process was, about, making sure our arenas and stadiums are full, right? So I think there's a revenue opportunity there. I think, I think the Atlanta Braves did an outstanding job in continuously innovating in a stadium that was only 7 years old, in finding new product categories that you can create that have a fairly quick return on investment. So I think we can do some of those things at both CQ Stadium and the Xfinity Center. I think there's a great opportunity for us to get into the special event business and the kind of the non-traditional collegiate athletic business. That's the beauty of building a basketball, the Barry P. Gossett Basketball Performance Center, that we now can have our basketball teams practicing in their own facilities so we can use the arena for other special events and be able to generate another revenue stream from that. Having done the Savannah Bananas for the Atlanta Braves and put that deal together, being able to try to recruit an event like that to CQ Stadium during the summer, those are the types of opportunities that I really think exist. Are we going to get to them all in year one? No, but we're going to get to them over a period of time. And, if that can add up to that number, then fantastic. And if we don't get to that number, but it continues to grow over a period of time, that's just great for Maryland athletics long term.
So I love the Savannah Bananas. I just saw them at Yankee Stadium. Jared Orton, the president, just spoke at our John Wall Street's fall sports and media huddle. Huge fan. When people ask me who's doing it well in sport, that's my default answer. But while I'd be remiss if I didn't hit on the Braves are getting a tremendous amount of attention for the Battery District. The Battery District is the mixed-use real estate district that goes around Truist Field. Is considered to be kind of the best case example of the type of district. Now represents 10% of team revenues, so it's a meaningful portion of the business. Tell me about mixed-use development. Is there an opportunity to build on Maryland's campus and replicate that type of project?
So I don't know if it's By the way, that's the best in the world, right? I mean, I don't know that you're going to find a better mixed use development that exists than the Battery. And Derek Schiller and Mike Plant get an incredible. They should get an incredible amount of recognition for the vision and the guts to do it when no one else was doing it. So A+ to them. How that relates to Maryland, I think we can do public-private partnership. I don't think we have the land to do what a Battery was. Is there development going in and around campus? Absolutely. Ken Ullman's doing an outstanding job here in College Park to develop that. I don't think it's sports centric, but I do think it's a mixed use project that's going to be going on. But I like the public private partnership opportunity that we might be able to do with facilities here going forward. Is something that we're definitely going to look into.
That's great. Let's switch gears drop to NIL. So obviously it's a topic du jour over the last couple of years, and even more so this year with the revenue share settlement getting ratified here. What is the plan with the $20.5 million for you guys in revenue sharing? How are you planning to allocate that for the University of Maryland Athletics?
So, the University of Maryland and all the Big Ten teams have taken the full amount. So everybody's using the $20.5 million in allocating it out based on a formula that we think is best for the University of Maryland. And so the first tranche of that was done prior to me getting here, and it pretty much it's very similar to what the other schools have done, and pretty much everybody's mirrored the. Not exactly, but mirrored what the settlement looked like that came out. So I think everybody's kind of in that general ballpark. We're definitely investing the full 20.5 in all our programs, and we'll continue to do that here going forward.
Great.
Jim, Maryland athletes have a unique NIL advantage given the proximity to both Washington and Baltimore. I guess it's a two-part question. How are you positioning them to help capitalize on that, and they've been successful so far?
So we have a company that we work with called Blueprint under our One Maryland umbrella, and then our partners at Playfly have been really, it's a team effort here at the University of Maryland. So we have Blueprint leading the NIL, we have Playfly leading our corporate sponsorship, but we're all working together for what's in the best interest of our student athletes. So when the opportunity arises, whether that's coming from either side, either partnership, either one of our partners, that we look at how we can infuse NIL into our deals. And you're right, we have a very fortunate position being here in the DMV. I think we've begun to scratch the surface. I don't think we've nailed it yet, but we're certainly making progress as we go forward. Plus, the rules change fairly regularly in how all these things can be done, and in how it's going to be approved. We know what NIL Go is now, but the whole platform of direct payment from sponsor to the student athlete is continuing to evolve, and we have to make sure that we're following the rules. And both Blueprint and Playfly have been great partners in making sure we do that.
The costs, we're hosting an event on the morning of the CFP championship game, Jim. The subject of the event is college sports' new P&L. We've talked a lot about the revenue side of the equation here today. We haven't talked nearly as much about the cost side of the equation. But the Big Ten stretches from New Jersey to California. Talk talk about some of the hidden costs, both financially and operational, that exists being part of that footprint.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious that travel is is our biggest cost center, especially when you're running 20 teams all over the country to compete. So that's a significant investment that on the expense side that we have to make every year. Clearly scholarship is a big piece of this. Remember, these are student athletes, and it's not like there's not a cost that goes with it. Everything from academic advising all to our to the actual tuition and all those things that go in from an expense side. And then now add the new $20.5 million in rev share payment. That's now adding to an expense side, and that's going to change the financial models for most programs. I think we're all going to be interested in seeing what they come out with after what the NCAA releases from a P&L standpoint. We used to have, I don't know, 25 teams that would be roughly break even or positive. I don't know that we're going to see that much here going forward. It's putting the pressure on that we have to find new revenue streams, and I think that's what every athletic department in the country is looking at. So the expense side is real. I want to say it's relatively fixed. So that only leaves one way to go, and that's to drive more revenue. You can't cut your way to success. That's just not going to be that's not a sustainable model. That's a race to the bottom. So we've got to have to find revenue streams in order to get us to that break even and into the positive side of the ledger.
But when we talk about
Yeah,
costs, when you talk, hold on, I just want to drill down a little bit on that, Mike. When you talk about costs and travel, it's not simply to and from the games, right? Like, have the costs meaningfully increased from recruiting? Are you guys now recruiting from a much wider standpoint?
So I'd say that's definitely we're recruiting costs are expensive just because inflation, just travel costs, everything that goes with it. Excuse me, but the reality is we have a benefit in that what we talked about a little earlier. The DMV is a big benefit. It's if we can stay and keep our best talent at home, we're gonna actually reduce our recruiting costs. You can't say that at some other schools who might be further out west that don't have a metropolitan area that is creating really good high school athletes.
Is that part of the business model at Maryland, though? Like, we're going to recruit here because we need to try to keep those costs down?
We're going to recruit wherever the best talent is that we can get to come to Maryland. I mean, I think that's it, but we're definitely going to start at home. That doesn't mean every student athlete, potential student athlete, either wants to come to Maryland or that we want every single one of them. But we know that there are a lot of them out there. We have a fertile backyard that we are definitely exploring as we look across the country as well.
Yeah, especially when you mentioned that 14 million stat, right? The area that is around the University of Maryland, 14 million people, right? That's a big group of population to go after for recruiting. This is a great discussion around travel, especially since our sponsor for this podcast is Shorts Travel Logistics. So it's always a nice topic to hit during our podcast. Thank you. Shorts Sports Travel Logistics is the nation's fastest growing leader in college athletic travel, trusted by over 110 athletic departments. They streamline every aspect of team travel, charters, commercial air, buses, and hotel, delivering efficiency, compliance, and savings. Their promise, Team Travel Made Easy, is backed by innovative technology with unmatched reporting, analytics, and transparency. With Shorts Travel, athletic leaders gain measurable value, seamless coordination, athlete-ready journeys that protect performance, turning complex logistics into a true competitive advantage. The next question is, let's talk about facilities. So and we mentioned it a little bit before when we were talking about some of the donors and their focus on some of the performance centers. But when you think about that and those types of investments, more performance center investments, building better facilities for the student athletes, and building that student athlete experience, how do you measure ROI on a capital project like that? It's really interesting. We'd love to hear your thoughts on those types of elements.
Yeah, so when you're building practice facilities, performance centers, I don't know that there's a specific ROI like I can put on, hey, we're going to convert these seats into club seats and we're going, and it's going to have a 3-year payback, right? It's less tangible of an ROI, but knowing that you're creating a differentiator in their recruiting process, it actually matters. I know that even with NIL and rev share payments, you still have to have quality facilities in order to practice in. You have to, these are student athletes who are coming here with the belief that they may have a chance to play at the next level. So you want to have a next level opportunity for them to train in. Even though many of them will not go to the next level, when you're in that recruiting business, you got to have a something that can be the differentiator when the revenue side is close. And I think we've definitely done that. And then, like I said before, if everybody were to continue to practice in Xfinity Center, we wouldn't have the opportunity to be able to use the facility for other revenue opportunities. I don't know that that was in the model that they ran when they built the basketball performance center, but it's definitely we're going to get an ROI specifically from that now that we can use our main arena for other events.
What about from donor engagement and partnership standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, when you have, again, not necessarily ROI, but from an investment standpoint, definitely brings donors love, people who love the athletic department, love to see great facilities for the student athletes. They know it matters in a competition. So, and they get to feel a part of it when they're contributing into those facilities. They actually get to see what they provided for these student athletes. And that matters because many times it's their university. Sometimes it's not their university, but they're still passionate about the university, the athletic department, and the student athletes that are coming here. So it's a very much an emotional piece as well as a tangible outcome when they see the sports programs be incredibly successful. They know that their investment was worthy of the program success.
And as Jim and I had mentioned, or as I had mentioned to Jim before the conversation got started, one of my cousins is actually one responsible for helping to build that new practice facility at Maryland.
And he and his wife's name look awesome on the practice facility court. And it takes generous people like your cousin to make these things happen. And so that's the emotional ROI. The tangible ROI hopefully will come out in wins and losses, and far more wins than losses. And we're gonna, Maryland basketball will continue to stay at a really high elite level because of that financial commitment by the Greenblatts.
Yeah. Oh,
go ahead, Mike.
I was going to ask Jim, what when you're being most of the athletic directors we've interviewed in the first few rounds of this podcast have been in their job for a period of time. Since you're newer to your job, what did you uncover right away, whether it's a jewel within maybe the Olympic sports side of the business or something really interesting that maybe our audience, who's an audience of sports executives and leaders in the ecosystem, wouldn't know about, that you were like, wow, this is really interesting at University of Maryland, that most people don't know about, whether it's a sport that's performing really well that most people don't hear about or something from the business side. Just be interested in that sort of pearl that you may have found.
Well, let me hit the sports side first, because we, like anything, everybody did research on me when they saw that I got announced, and I had done quite a bit of research on Maryland before I took the job. And you could see that there were a lot of the sports programs have been incredibly successful here at the University of Maryland. So you knew there were good coaches here. What I didn't realize was that these coaches are incredibly successful. Let me rattle off, like our women's basketball coach, been here 23 years, has a national championship, perennial winner, Sweet 16, right? She is incredible. We have a men's lacrosse program that we like to say, and this is for any of you who may have maybe I shouldn't say that. I'll just use the stat that if you play for John Tillman for 4 years, you're going to play in a national championship game. Right? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So I can field hockey, Missy, incredible, right? Women's lacrosse, incredible. Football, 3 straight bowl games, 3 straight bowl wins too, right? So it happens in pockets. Our new men's basketball coach, Buzz Williams, unbelievable energy, winner everywhere he's been, and they've all won with being under resourced.
Mm.
The incredible part of their success in every one of these sports is they win with less than what everybody else wins with.
Hmm.
So the thought to me coming in is, boy, imagine what we can do if we can resource them appropriately, not even at the top, just appropriately, and see what they can accomplish even more than what they've done. I left out men's soccer, right? Sasha's he's been here 30 plus years, incredible 3 national champions, right? So there's pieces of this program that need just a little bit of jet fuel, and there's pieces of the program that might need a little bit more. But the coaches themselves never complain, continue to be successful, and most importantly, want to be at Maryland, right? They've been here a long time. They want to be here, right? So the one piece of the equation for, I think we all would agree in sports business, whatever, continuity breeds success. And when you have good people here for a long period of time, they've been successful, it means something's right here fundamentally. And now if we can add the resources to it, I really do believe you're going to see Maryland continue to climb up and up and up in the rankings in the Big Ten.
That's really interesting. I'd love to, Corey, maybe you should write an article on the stat which compares, the algorithm compares resources to wins, across all sports in college, because that's a really interesting concept, Jim, in terms of who's overperforming with the resources they have and who's underperforming with the resources they have, right? So that's a really interesting, it could be an interesting stat and ranking.
I pretend like I know stocks and things like that. I watch CNBC every morning, and I think we're an outperform. I think that's the right term.
Yeah.
This program has continued to outperform what the market says it should do based on the resources that it's been given.
Jim, what's keeping you up at night? What's the single biggest existential threat to the University of Maryland, or broadly speaking, the current model of college athletics?
Yeah, look, that the fear that NIL becomes an arms race, in that this is just the number perpetually goes up, and that there's no fiscal responsibility for it, right? I think that that keeps me up at night. So I like to say we want to spend smart money. Everybody talks about Moneyball, but we've got to be really smart about how we're going to allocate so we can be competitive from a NIL standpoint and from a rev share standpoint.
So have you guys hired like GMs and such? How are you guys figuring that out?
We do. We have a director of rev share, and has a small team that works across all sports, and then within both all three, within football and men's and women's basketball, there's people on staff that are working directly. So they would be the equivalent of player personnel department, and then we've got a rev share department that would be the equivalent of our GM. And all of that is reporting up through Diana Sabo and myself. So we've got a number of people keeping eyes on it. We've got, I've negotiated a few player contracts in my life, so I get to share a little bit of that. G. Roy Simon came from the CFL, so he knows what the contracts look like. So we've got some good expertise. We've got some guys in football who definitely know the football player personnel side. It's a good group that we work together. Rather than remember, because we've got 19 sports, not all of them are getting rev share, but we're sharing these responsibilities rather than just kind of one vertical like a professional sports team has.
So we're getting close to time here. So a couple of last questions, perhaps I'll throw one out, and maybe then Corey hit the last one here. But we didn't talk much about digital or technology or even storytelling in a way that you can use, different types of technology and platforms. As an example, you guys have launched the Terps Brew with Playfly, actually, and the Sport and Story Group. which is a really interesting newsletter that gives you storytelling, right? It's not marketing, it's actually storytelling about the athletes and the program. And it's really interesting engagement tool that you guys have launched and very successfully with a lot of traction in your alumni base. What are some other things that you're thinking about, or maybe you've done in the past that are not even out yet, that you're going to bring to the University of Maryland that utilizes digital platforms or storytelling in some respect going forward?
Yeah, it's so first, the newsletter that we produce together is outstanding, right? I mean, I think I know what's going on in the program, and then I read that and I realize, oh no, there's a lot I don't know, and it's all really good. So that part is great. But you bring up a great question, and we need to create a customer journey, right? I mean, I think the one thing I've learned from the pro sports world is that, hey, you can have millions of people in your database, and you have to put them on journeys. And I don't think the college space has gotten to that point yet, where you have different journeys for different people based on what you want the outcome to be. And the outcome can be just be a fan. The outcome could be move them up the fan hierarchy to buying merchandise, to buying tickets, to being season ticket holders. But there's got to be a little bit more journey creation in our world, and with the ultimate goal of engaging further, deepening the fan base, and ultimately to drive some revenue out of it. So I think that's a big opportunity for us and for the college space.
Jim,
And
maybe
the other part of it is, the last piece is AI can really help us in that, right? So that used to be an enormously labor intensive project that now AI can really help us. And in an organization that is under resourced, this isn't about eliminating jobs. This is about creating an opportunity to enhance through technology. And I really do believe that that's an opportunity for us going forward.
are you guys using AI to drive incremental revenues at this point?
So I think don't let the president see this. We are like a leading AI institution. It is like one of the core pillars of the University of Maryland is how far advanced we've gone in AI, and yet I think we're using it in a very limited fashion right now in the athletic department. So we have to do better on that.
Maybe my last question is, you mentioned the NIL arms race, and I'm curious to hear how you think about this, because I agree with you. Like that, on the surface, that makes sense. But aren't traditional donors going to tire of giving when, particularly if there aren't returns, meaning wins? And if you believe that, then you get to this world or landscape where more of the NIL money comes from corporations and true like NIL. And if that's the case, then isn't Maryland well positioned because of where it is geographically?
So, Corey, I think Maryland is well positioned in either scenario. I don't love the fact that we might have to compete in an ongoing world where donors feel like they have to be part of the success story for our product. However, I don't think it ever stops. I'd love to tell you that I hear the donor fatigue, and I hear it from our friends here. It might stop here at Maryland. I don't know that for sure. It's not going to stop everywhere at the same time. You have, and when you think about, if you take just the 4 power conferences and there's 60 teams, I really believe you're going to be rotating through. Somebody who stops, somebody else will start. So that's where I really think the House bill is a really good solution to starting to put some parameters in place. And we need some legislative help in order to do that. So then we don't have exactly what you're talking about, which is we don't have donor fatigue at that point because we're all playing under the same set of rules. And we won't have this kind of rotation that I really do believe is going to happen. I believe you're going to constantly have a rotation of schools that will have donors who are going to do it.
Interesting. What about the corporate part? Do we see get into a world where corporate plays a bigger role in NIL?
I think corporate is playing a bigger role in NIL now because of the way you have to have a valid business purpose in order to have an NIL deal. The
I
pay for
guess I
play
meant
thing.
like corporate. I guess I meant like Fortune 500 companies is really what I was kind of
Oh,
getting at.
no, I think, look, could they? Maybe through a well-placed alumni at a CEO level, perhaps. Um, but I really believe that the corporate Fortune 500 will focus mostly on what Michael's business does, Playfly, through our sponsorship assets. I'm probably a less believer that Fortune 500 is gonna go back into the NIL piece.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Jim. This has been amazing, especially near to and dear to my heart because I grew up as a Terps fan. So thanks for joining us. I think every time I've seen you, you've been wearing a red sports jacket. So that's also very impressive to me that you've been able to pull that off in every one of our discussions and meetings. So, but ultimately, we love this discussion because this is the types of discussions we want to bring to our audience here on Big Business on Campus, the John Wall Street Sports podcast. This is powered by Playfly Sports and sponsored by Shorts Travel Logistics. So we appreciate you being on. We appreciate all of our listeners checking this out. So thanks again, Jim. And thank you again, my wonderful co-host, Corey here. Appreciate it. And we'll be back for another round of our podcast next month. Thanks.
Thanks.
Later.